All right, hi everybody. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Welcome to the June Central Oregon Writers Guild monthly meeting. As we frequently experience in the summer in Bend, Oregon, these meetings tend to dip a little bit because people do. The reason that we live in Bend, Oregon is because of June, July, and August, right? And part of September. Excited to have Julie and Erik tonight talk to us about social media, and heads up, Julie is also teaching a class this Saturday, and there is room left on how to develop, not how to, you will develop your a website, an author website. So I was talking to a friend this afternoon, and she said, I don't even have a book. I don't need a website. And I said, you know what? When the book comes up, you want a website. Or when the book is about to come up, you want a website. You're going to have to do this. Yeah, you don't have to do anything you don't want, honestly. But if you want to market your book, market your work, you're going to have to, again, I said going to have to. It's a really good idea to be involved in social media. And a website is you want a landing page. You want a place for all that stuff to come to. So I told her, build the website and don't worry about it till you're ready. But we have a really good person to help us build a website at a really low price. So I encourage you to take advantage of this. I certainly will be. I built a website when I was in my MFA program. Haven't touched it for years. And it's time for a new one for me. So I'm looking forward to it. But there is room left. As I said, it's $50 for members, which is a really good deal. You're walking out of the room with a built website. Watch this segue. Brings us to our website here, which lists all the events that we have. And over on the left side, right there, that little orange RSVP now button, that's how you sign up for that website thing. Right above that is what we're going to be doing tonight. Further down, this scrolls. Further down, next month, Michael Stephen Gregory is going to come talk to us about writers' conferences. And he is in the process of putting together some form of writers conference for next year in Bend, Oregon. And Central Oregon Writers Guild will be part of that. We'll keep you posted. It's still, there's moving parts and everything, but this is something that we as a board, we as a group of people have been pushing for years and years. I don't know if anyone's been around long enough to remember Nature of Words here, but that type of thing, to have a bunch of great writers here all at once, to be able to do really cool stuff and go to workshops and intermingle and meet is a really important part of the writing life, and to keep us just going and to get. I talk to people. How many of you have gone to an event where there's writers are talking about how to get published? I have too, and it's always, I met this guy in an elevator. I swear to God, right? So this is how this happens, right? You can. I do know people who query agents and done that thing that we all know how to do, but honest to God, it's the guy in the elevator or the woman in the elevator, right? That's what happens at writing conferences, and that's why we come together here once a month and talk to each other. So that's what's happening in July. August, Lauren Overwerger did a fantastic workshop for us a couple of years ago. I think I mentioned this before, but I had 10 pages of notes, and it was just every word that came out of her mouth was really useful. So she's going to visit us in August. My beautiful wife is, this scrolls too fast. My beautiful wife is going to talk to us in September. She is a wonderful poet, also writes fiction and nonfiction, essay, novels, and something that Irene is really, really good at is bringing those poetic tools into our writing, right? So you don't have to write poetry. Go through the rest of your life without ever writing poetry, but to understand the tools of poetry and apply those to your prose just makes your writing better. And she'll do a workshop in September on that as well. October, Kristen Dorsey, just had a chat with her the other day. Kristen is another fantastic, very enthusiastic writing instructor, and she's going to talk about the writing habits for health writing. Still working with the OSU MFA program to get somebody in here in November. I will keep you posted as that develops, and then hopefully that person will be our November workshop as well. Then our holiday party. On the right side of the event of this page, I'm sorry, I'm just making sure that this is actually happening. This quiet writing at COCC is currently happening. I'm talking to the guy who's in charge of the writing center, and he may be changing that date on that or anything, but it's happening. So COCC library, you know, just drive on up there and go and sit and write. Same with this, right? Shut up and write. It's again, shut up and write. These kinds of things are great because you talk to people, and then you should sit quietly and write, and then after that, you're all charged up and you talk some more.
I'm a part of that group, and that timing has changed.
The shut up and write one?
Yeah.
Oh, it has.
From 2 to 3:30 now.
Okay, thank you. I will change that. Then we have all the events that we know of on that right side there. We have author readings, we have workshops, we have writing salon. Jessica Hill's doing a memoir writing workshop, spoken word nights, more author stuff, open mic up at Florida Springs. More and more, one of our members here, Marina Ritchie, is going to be at Dudley's on July 6th, talking with Laura Pritchett. Poetry play shops, Karina Castlebaum, always fun. More author readings. The Raging Writers Spoken Word is the second Sunday of every month. That's sport. Anybody go to that? It's really fun. It's generative writing, and then they do an open mic afterwards at sport, which is so that sport shuts down for that for us. Let's see. More authors. Ben Library has got an event with Grace Bielecki on July 19th. Those are usually register and they fill out. Yeah, so all good stuff. Willamette Writers Conference is July 31st through August 4th, and Pacific Northwest Writers Association Conference, PNWA, is September 19th through 22nd. Writers conferences are really good things. Most of these have an online aspect, so you don't have to go to Portland or to Seattle for these. And some of them even have online one-on-ones with agents. So check those out. They're really useful. Our program, I'm going to do a personal plug here. If it's on there, maybe not. Oh, the porch. Yeah, personal plug for Irene and I and Ellen Santasero do a 10-month intensive writing program. Our slogan catchphrase is "We got our MFA, so you don't have to." There is availability in that program, and that starts at the beginning of September. So if you're interested in that, come talk to me. I'm happy to sit down and go have a cup of coffee with you or something and talk about that. That is all I got for that. Any questions about anything? How about any announcements? Ginger.
Well, after talking about it for a couple of years, I finally had published my anthology. Ginger Snaps, tasty morsels of poetry and prose. And my Saturday Evening Post story is in here.
Okay.
And about 40 poems and some nonfiction. I brought a few with me. I'm only charging $10 to guild members. So after the meeting, if anybody wants one, I might have one for you.
All right, thank you, great, congratulations. Is that available online too? Can I buy it?
It's unfortunately, it isn't, I don't have a digital version.
No, but I mean,
Oh,
can I
and
buy it
Amazon.
somewhere?
Yes.
Okay, will you send me the link so I can put it on the webpage?
Oh,
Yeah, okay. Anybody else? Mary,
So
while
I,
we're selling books?
yeah, everybody's selling books. So last time I showed you the book that I wrote and I had my book launch and it was really successful. In fact, Joan, I think, said she saw me on TV. Like, you know what, let's contact the media and title your thing press release, and they might show up, which is pretty exciting. So
That's cool.
That's very cool. The other thing is, I will be doing a book signing at Helena Springs on July 13th. That's the day of that quilt show. Because my book is quilt related, so patchwork of stories for quilters. And I also have a few copies that you can purchase. So,
All right, congratulations.
thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Yeah, second row is hot. Anybody? Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna, Mary, y'all know Mary now. Mary is our featured reader coordinator, and she's going to come up and introduce our featured reader for this. All right, yay, Mary.
But before I do, just a few words about anthology. So, of course, the deadline is passed, so if you haven't submitted anything, it's too late now. But all of the poetry submissions have been reviewed by the poetry editor, and those acceptance letters went out. The last one went out today for poetry. The nonfiction and fiction editors are still reviewing submissions, and so acceptance letters will probably start going out next week. So if you haven't heard, if you're fiction or nonfiction, you haven't heard anything, take a breath. It's fine. Okay. All right. So every month we have a featured reader, and just gives our members a chance to get up and do a little public speaking and get comfortable. So it's nice to do it in front of a group of friendly faces. So thank you for all smiling when you're out there. All right. Jean Harkin raised her family in Montana, went to California to study and teach yoga, remarried, and came to Bend to continue teaching yoga and practice her artistic skills. Jean has covered all the creative P's. She's been a painter, a potter, and printmaker, and now poet and prose writer. She has gone from a box of stuffed full of ideas on snippets of torn paper and sketchbook pages full of pencil drawings. Over the years, the drawings contain more word descriptions and less pencil work. After years of resolutions to write, she has jumped in with both feet. She committed herself to Irene and Mike Cooper's forge class. She quivered in her boots for the first 2.5 months, thinking, what the hell I got myself into? After the 10-month course, she came out thinking, I can do this. I have everything to learn, but I can do this. Now Jean uses her artistic skills to paint with words. She tries to bring as much sensory perception as possible into each piece. Her poems come from her long past and from the present. One poem is rising now from what she saw and thought yesterday, walking along the river near her home. Her favorite part of writing comes after many revisions. This is when the piece has arrived at the point where she can weed out all unnecessary words. She finds this process so exciting, she can hardly stay in her chair. No surprise, she is drawn towards, I have to see if I can pronounce this, high wounds, short poems, and flash prose. Please welcome Jean Harkin.
There'll still be a quiver in my knees. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
This first piece is a poem called Word Dancer for a young man named Ikawa. Who can dare to apply this tattered adage that all men are born equal? It's better as a question. Can two men come into the world as equal? This young Ikawa rides a chair this time around. He snaps a whip of words curling through the air, frustrated love from its tip. Syllables and symbols, grounded or angry, flame in pain. Send electric arrows for our hearts to gain. Uninvited energy surges. He shudders. Papers flutter to the floor. Butterfly wings, stiff and slender, grip tight so as not to take flight. His eyes, two ancient black pools, reflect spiral time. Oh, so Ikawa, this dancer of words and rhymes, not born to stay long, he wills life to be full. A race against time, he knows he will not fool. Twilight. The 3-day windless winter snowstorm with single-digit temperatures lay soft, fine-grained quilts over trees, rooftops, fields, and roads. Snow stopped now, leaving me restless to be outside. It is time to clear pathways. The depths of the drifts surprise me. Bundled up against the cold, I enjoy the fresh air. My shovel whispers as it cuts toward a frozen sidewalk. Delicate snow dust drifts down through juniper and pine boughs. These barely visible microclimates are nearly hidden in the diminished light. My eyes move past trees to focus on the side of a neighbor's house as it slides into shadow. Its hard, straight edge suddenly flanked by a brilliant golden flash. Moments before its exit, the sun makes a final curtsy. The search. Is there anything as quiet as the bare whisper of a snowy owl's flight on a still, starless night? Its powerful ears and large eyes miss nothing. As it perches, wings folded, talons rest. Half-closed eyes await the soul. Come roost in its vast stillness. Silent, snowy owl. Through soft white on white palette. Sure in its softness. Adrift. Set free at the ends of sunlit strands, hatchling float on summer breezes. One per line, tiny dots cling for life. A slow drift, a soft invasion over stone walls, sidewalks, cars, rooftops, backs of horses and dogs and people. These babies get hung up in trees like downed airmen who struggle to reach the ground. Frantic actions alert hungry, sharp-eyed birds. One is saved from a trout's belly by a shrub arched over a fast flowing creek. Another befuddles a cat. An arachnid on my shirt swept off with care. No polite exchange. Dangers now lurk everywhere. Scurry, life waits.
Nice job. Julie. All right, so our presenters tonight are Julie Swearingen and Erik Frank. Julie is a Central Oregon Writers Guild board member, professional editor, book aficionado, book seller, events coordinator at Roundabout Books, and social media genius, as is Erik Frank. Erik and I worked together years ago at the Deschutes Brewery, and he was in the marketing department there, and is currently in charge of High Desert Museum, pretty much.
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
Okay. And so they did a really great job with a sort of a one-off meeting that was not a scheduled meeting in February, was that? December? Wow. That's a long time ago. Where they talked a little bit about social media, and I learned a ton. And they're going to continue that discussion tonight. And as I said, this is going to probably play into this idea of building your website, which will come on Saturday. So without further ado, Julie and Erik. Stay in front of this, which is over there.
I can do that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to do it separate from the Zoom. It's not working with Zoom very well, so I will put your thing on follow. Okay.
Awesome. All right, then. Hey, thanks for coming tonight. Welcome to another edition of, I should have said another installment of Building Your Author Platform with Julie and Erik. We're very excited to be here with you again tonight. As Mike just suggested, we were here in December talking about building your author platform. At that time, we decided to dive into a little platform known as Instagram. You all know Instagram, I suppose, right? All the pretty pictures that happen there. Tonight, we're going to spend a little time diving in a different direction. We figured it was time to address the moving pictures, as it were, video, that kind of thing. So we're going to spend some time reviewing author platform stuff, and then we're going to dive into some video content. Very exciting stuff. We're super excited as well because how many of you were here last month and participated in Shelby's presentation? We were, at least me anyways, I checked it out online. I wasn't here last month, and she said a lot of amazing things and kind of reinforced a lot of the stuff that we talked about in December and that we're going to talk about tonight, which really allows me to kind of zoom through that author platform type stuff, actually. So, what are we actually, we're going to do a really quick lightning round edition of what an author platform is. We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of TikTok. And then, of course, we're going to also walk you through the process of actually creating a TikTok account. It's way easier than you think it is, actually. And then, of course, we'll make some videos. We're going to make some videos. Who's scared of making a video? Raise your hand. I was scared this morning at 5 a.m. when I made my own, I'll be honest with you. So don't be scared, or rather be scared with me. It's all going to turn out great. And then we'll do a little Q&A at the end kind of thing. Is questions so far? Everybody feeling good about that? All right, so building your author platform. What is an author platform? Quite simply, it is a place for you to tell your story and broadcast your brand kind of thing. If everybody remembers what Shelby was talking about last month about building a brand, this platform is where you share the building blocks of that brand with folks. It's all about telling a story. Why should we build an author platform? Well, I gave this some thought over the last couple of weeks. Why do we really want to build a platform? And I kind of came back to this notion of, well, why do I write in the first place, right? And it's because there's something inside of me that really just wants to share what I have to write. Whether that's worthwhile to share or not is another matter. But there's something inside me I want to write, and I want to share that with other people. Well, the only way to make sure that other people actually get to read it is if you are telling people that you have something to read, kind of thing. And so you need to make people aware that you have written something. And of course, You have to build, another term that Shelby used last month was affinity. In other words, you gotta get people to like what you've actually written. That's important because then they'll talk to other people about what you've written. Ultimately, with the idea of building a community. So building a community so that people can read what you've written. That's kind of the idea behind building an author platform. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, great. So when you're building that author platform, there are some considerations. The first and foremost consideration you want to hold in your mind is what is your goal? What do you actually want anyone to read your stuff? If you don't want anyone to read your stuff, then you don't necessarily need to build an author platform, to be honest. But you always want to think about your goals. What are your goals when you build that author platform? What do you want to accomplish? Do you want to become rich and famous? Well, then that's going to a degree, determine what choices you make after that, and what follows after that. In addition to the goals, you also always want to consider what community you want to build. Who is your audience? Who do you want to be talking to? Who do you want to be talking? Who do you want to be talking back? Those two things, in turn, impact the kind of content, the kind of stuff you're going to put out there. What kind of content, depending on what your goals are, and who your audience is, right? Once you've got those three things kind of mapped out, your goals, who you want to talk to, what kinds of things you're going to be saying, then you're going to start thinking about, well, what's the economy of all this? In other words, how much am I willing to spend money on this process? Because Lord knows those places where you can put all this content will ask you for money if you want to spread it further out in the world, kind of thing. So you want to think about whether you have money to devote to this endeavor, but it's not just about the money, it's also about the time. How much time can you afford to put into this part of the process of writing? Because the truth is, I think we'd probably all rather be writing than doing this stuff for the most part, right? So that notion of budget, right? How much time do you want to spend on it? And of course, that also plays into another concept, which is engagement. And how much time you have to devote to engagement. Engagement simply means how much time you want to spend talking back and forth with the folks that you are sharing the content with. The truth of the matter is that most folks who are gonna eat your content also want to engage with you about that content. And so that give and take is really the best way to build that community. If you're just putting content out there and not talking to anybody or generating any talk, then it's probably a good time to kind of rethink the kind of stuff that you're doing. Does that make sense? All right, good. So after you've kind of considered all of those things, you want to start thinking about, well, where do I want to put this content? We'll talk about where here just in a second, and that's really the focus today. We're going to talk about a particular where today, but that's generally known as channels, right? Whether that's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, Pinterest, or the Quilters Society of America, like those are channels. That's not actually a channel. You know, you get my point. Is what group, where do you want to serve up this content? That's what a channel. And then finally, it's always a smart idea to take a look around those ecosystems and see what other people are doing so that you can decide whether you actually want to do the same stuff or different stuff. That's always important. And that's what that word comps is all about. It's about comparables, right? So now, those channels, where does all that stuff happen? Facebook, by far, is the place that has the most active users per month, at over 3 billion users worldwide, right? And this is just a sampling. This isn't everything that's out there. These are channels that are used predominantly here in the US. If you go abroad, you might find that in other places that some channels are more popular than others. But YouTube and WhatsApp are great spots. They also have a high number of monthly average users, as well as Instagram. And of course, coming in not far behind is the subject of the rest of our conversation, TikTok. TikTok has over 1.5 billion users per month. That is a lot of people surfing through that app, eating up content basically. Now, there are also other places that you can serve up content. The really cool thing about what we're gonna spend some time on today, video content creation, is that no matter where you choose to play, no matter what channel you choose to play on, they all are willing to serve up video content. And so video content is a much more dynamic, it's a much more dynamic, interactive, engaging type of content than say just words. I mean, if you think about radio, video, that kind of thing, video is just more exciting to most users these days. And so wrap your heads around reading thing. It's not a terrible thing. I would be remiss if I didn't also mention two channels that are very important that you get to own, obviously, and Mike mentioned it earlier, your very own author website, and of course, developing an email address list, as it were, to send out emails to folks. Those are also channels that you can serve up content, and you get to own that, and you don't have to pay for it, not really anyways. But it's important to also think about those places as places to serve up. Questions about any of that? That was a very fast lightning round style review of things you want to think about with an author platform. Now we're going to dive into TikTok. And I want to invite over here to the microphone the true expert in the room, Miss Julie.
So obviously TikTok has been in the news. It may go away, but we're also, as Eric mentioned, we're talking about video content that can be used elsewhere. So don't worry about that part right now. It's not going away. Okay, quick nuts and bolts of TikTok. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Who has a TikTok? Who has one? Who has ever created an account, whether you've done anything with it, posted on it? One person. Okay, myself, I think I have 5. Okay, so TikTok originally started as only 60-second videos. They bumped it to 3. You can now do 10. Don't recommend doing 10 unless you're like a political commentator or you're selling other content. The best is 3 minutes or less. We all know everybody has short attention spans. You're trying to catch them. It's just like in your book synopsis, your author bio, your 30-second pitch. You're trying to catch them as quickly as you can. So one of the things though is that TikTok is known for is duetting. So somebody else makes a video, you duet it, it's a half screen and you're reacting. So you're laughing, you're, there's music and you're dancing, but it's a duet. You can only do that, I might have to double check this, but on 60-second or less videos. So something you want to think about if you're duetting someone else, which is something you can do, is to pull in content that you like and want to share. It's not stealing, it's really not. But you can also control that. You can say, no one can duet my videos, no one can download them, no one can, there's a snippet version too, I'm trying to remember what it's called. But duets again are great for reaching a larger audience because again, it's a collaboration. It's a way to, pull in somebody else or vice versa. So again, TikTok started out as, for a younger audience, dancing videos, a lot of choreography. It has grown. It's actually one of the #1 websites or social media platforms for like political content, which will come up later when we're talking about trolls. But just as, did anyone here take my social media Saturday class a few years ago? Okay. We definitely talked about hashtags. Hashtags are really great on TikTok because what they actually do, very similar to Instagram, is you can actually not only use them, but you can set your own feed to follow. So if you were to go to hashtag book talk and you follow it, that's what's also going to show up in your feed. So you're going to see and find other authors who are using that. So it's a very cool way to like find your community, network, tell people what you're about. Maybe one of the videos you do is like how you get up and prepare for writing in the morning, you know, you make your coffee, your tea, you set up this little thing, like you make a video of that and you hashtag it author life. You know, like that's kind of what you're telling people you're talking about. Right now, TikTok is having a massive love fest again with YA romance, erotica and romantasy, which is romance fantasy hybrid. So if you're not familiar with Sarah J. Maas, Akatar, A Court of Thorn and Roses, it's a rabbit hole that you can go down on TikTok. It's very interesting. And then the shorter videos, like I mentioned, 3 minutes or less, you can set up your TikTok account to directly distribute those to your Facebook and your Instagram. So again, we're hitting all of those channels with one video, so you not have to be, well, not dancing like you do on TikTok. That's okay, we don't care. We just don't talk. Okay. A couple of authors to maybe, you know, check out if you're not familiar with them. But Victoria Adler is huge for her Red Queen series. But she answers a lot of questions about the publishing industry. We all know Colleen Hoover, we love her. Yeah, she's doing a lot of like sneak peeks. Aiden Thomas is a great YA author. He's got 2 series, Cemetery Boys and the Sunbearer Trials. But he does a lot of things like he's showing you his pets. So, you know, again, this isn't like just buy my book. It's tell me what you're about. And that way I'm gonna maybe want to follow your career as you do more things. And then Sarah Rosh is another one who does like sci-fi fantasy. And then she actually asks her subscribers like questions about like her own writing process. Like she talks about just people are really lifting the veil on what goes into writing and publishing and actually getting out there into the market. And TikTok is great for that. So some challenges, we're trying to get over this tonight, but feeling uncomfortable on camera, we all go through that. I'm trying to ignore the fact that I'm being recorded right now. But again, maintaining authenticity, right? Who are you outside of being a writer? Because if you're not feeling like this is your authentic self, you're not going to enjoy it either. You're not going to enjoy making the videos. I've tried that. I've been in businesses where one of the things was I had to post an outfit of the day every day. And I hated it. So I stopped doing that business. I don't need to sell you clothes. You can buy your own clothes. I don't like that. It can be a little time consuming, right? We talked about that. How much budget do you have? How much, you know, time do you have to make a couple of videos a week, and then, but also then go and comment on somebody else's, follow them, you know, kind of check them out. It really is networking. Like I mentioned, it's called stitching. That's grab the first like 10 seconds of their video and then basically reply to it. Music underneath it, or making sure that the caption is, you know, relevant, but also like closed captioning your videos, which I can show you how to do. It's a very good feature to make sure that your content is very accessible. Because I have like sensory issues. I watch TV with the captions on 24/7. Because if I'm not processing it, I'm still reading it. So you want to make sure your closed captions are on. Finding your genre and audience, and then I'm just going to mention trolls because if you've been on Facebook, you know they exist. They also exist on TikTok. Book Talk does not have them as much as a lot of the other like subsets of it, but they're out there. Walk and delete.
What's a troll?
Somebody who's being an asshole.
That's it.
I mean, people like to comment about my weight on TikTok. Dude, I know. Tell me anything I don't know. Okay, so when creating a TikTok account, a couple of things. Your name is just your name, but your username / handle can be something different. It can be something punny, it can be cute. Aiden Thomas is Aiden Schmaden. But when you search Aiden Thomas, he still comes up. For a couple of my TikTok accounts, I don't have my last name on them because I've been harassed and I have a very unusual last name. Don't actually want people to be able to find me. I don't use it to sell or get published. So just something to think about. Your bio is only 80 characters, which is really short. So what a lot of people do is they tend to kind of do emojis. So a pen in a book. You're a writer. You know, a cat and a cup of coffee. And then your hashtag of, you know, author life. Keep it short. And then you can still add a link to your bio. So again, if you have a website, direct them straight there. If you have multiple, you have a website, but your book is also available at multiple stores, get a link tree. We can talk about that later. If you're not familiar with link tree, I love it. And then your profile picture. And again, we want to see your face. They do. They want everyone wants to see your face. So now that we've kind of talked about this, and I'm happy to pull up my accounts to show anybody, it was hard to like, I can't download the videos and then upload them to this very easy, so I didn't, but I can definitely show you examples. I think it's still really funny to pick this. We are gonna do what we have called the Between You and Me author interview. So the guidelines of it, the thought behind it is, you're gonna answer 2 to 3 questions, and we have the sample questions, as if you were being interviewed, but almost like interviewing yourself. You know, like the Between Two Ferns with what's his face, Zach Galifianakis. It's just a short, again, it's just a short intro. So like some of our sample questions are, what's your favorite thing about writing? What's your least favorite? You know, what distractions like pull you away from your writing? Should we start writing those out? Right there. I also brought a camera stick just so people can kind of like, you want to try doing it yourself, you can use my selfie stick. But I think what we're gonna have people do is pair up with at least one other person so that they can hold the camera. So that you're not worrying about it. We're not having you try and do it like this. It doesn't have as flattering as you like. We're gonna do right now 90 seconds just to kind of get you used to kind of trying to be succinct, get that shorter, you know, answer the question to grab somebody's attention. But again, once you start getting comfortable with this, anywhere between 1 and 3 minutes is really ideal. More than that, unless you're doing a reading, if you want to read a short piece, you have a flash fiction, do it. But we're going to start with this kind of like interview. Yeah. Remember, read like your LeVar Burton. Okay, so we're going to practice. So now here's the thing, you don't have to make the TikTok account right now. We're just gonna practice with your phones, with your camera on video, and ask each other 3 of these questions. Who's ready? Break.
Just pair up and do this?
Yeah, Eric, are we doing our sample one real
Yeah,
quick?
we can do
Okay,
a
we're
sample
gonna
real
do one
quick.
real quick.
We do a real quick sample.
Alright.
Alright, so the idea here is you always want to do a little like, hey, thanks for joining me on the beginning and the end, right? And then you just ask 2 or 3 questions. And you can pick from this list, you can make up your own questions, whatever makes you happy. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong, okay? All right, so welcome to another edition of Between You and Me. I'm your host, Erik Frank, and today I'll be interviewing Erik Frank about what he's been writing on his collection of cocktail napkins. Erik, what type of writing do you like to do? Well, I'm really into short stories, actually. I love the poignancy and the drama all in one reading session. I don't want to have to wait 3 months to get to the end of the story. Well, what are you working on right now? Well, actually, I'm working on a collection of short stories that are all about procrastination and different variations of going for it. Well, that's really cool, Erik. What, as you've been writing these short stories, what kind of like knocks you off your game when you're, what gets you distracted when you're in the middle of writing one of these short stories? Well, I have to be honest with you, Erik, it's TikTok every time. Well, thanks, Erik, for your time. That's it for another edition of Between You and Me. Thanks for watching, and remember to read like LeVar Burton.
That was just over a minute. Erik just talked really fast. So again, but we want you to, you know, again, be yourself. You might not be as outgoing and boisterous as either of us are. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Can I pull up Becca, can I pull up a website on here, or will it not show to the Zoom? Oh, okay. One of the other ones that I was gonna say is, sorry, and I missed it, follow bookstores. Bookstore TikToks are very fun. We're still working out all of the kinks at our bookstore for TikTok. Somebody took it over from me because I didn't have the time. But it's really fun to follow bookstores just to like see what's going on out there and what people are reading. Do a post about your to be read pile. That's generally what when I'm making content on TikTok is I'm talking about books. My handle is Julie Queen of Books. It wasn't taken, I took it. Okay, who wants to try one? Anybody? I'm still feeling a little shy. Yeah. Claire, get up here. Just because I know her, we used to work together. Okay, I'm gonna ask the question. We're gonna do it proper. Which ones do you want? There.
Surprise.
For what letters? Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Claire Brisson. I'm a writer of young adult fiction and middle grade fiction. And,
Claire, what does your writing space look like?
I actually have an amazing loft in my house, in my living room, which I have turned into my little writing loft. My desk is right in a window that looks out over my backyard. And I try to keep it clear at all times when I write, even if it means doing a literal table clear onto the ground.
Let's see here. How do you stay fresh and focused during those writing sessions?
I definitely like to have an array of different beverages, really something hot, something cold, and something sparkling.
Okay. Do you write by hand or is it all on the computer?
I actually do most of my writing on the computer, even though I love writing by hand and journaling. I just kind of fall into that habit. It depends on what part of the process I'm doing, but when I'm editing, I'm always writing by hand.
Let's do one more. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Ooh, oh my goodness. I would like to be a published author, absolutely. And I would also really like to start a creative arts center for young people in Bend, Oregon, for young middle and high school kids to come and just explore their creative instincts without all the pressures of school or focus our society does on production.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much, Claire.
Thank you so much.
That was a minute and a half. Yeah. And so, for instance, thank you. If you were at home, I mean, what does your writing space look like? Would be, you do a panorama of what your writing space looks like. You know, do you need everything at right angles? Or like me, I like to have colorful pens next to me so that if I have to make a note, I have my pens really handy. Yeah, like here's what element of writing are you best at? Character building, world building, or dialogue? I mean, just these are great characters. Where do you find inspiration for your projects? And with knowing what's going on, you know, I've seen so much of people's work in the last couple of years with the anthology. I think there are a lot of you who would be great at answering this question in that space that finds you the inspiration. You know, we had a piece in last year's anthology that was about Smith Rock. Go out there and make a little video about how beautiful and inspiring this area that we live in is to you. I mean, you don't have to stand and have like your wall behind you, like it's pretty. I post a lot about my dog and cats because they make me happy. And also because dogs and cats get like a lot of interaction on TikTok. What's your favorite genre to read? Look, you're an author, but you're a reader, right? Like, this is why the majority of us wanted to write maybe in the first place, is we read a book and we're like, oh my God, writing is so cool and I could do this. So what are you reading? Like, tell us the authors that have inspired you over the years, who you know, maybe borrowed words from because they were so inspiring to you, and that kind of a thing. Does anybody else want to come up and do a sample one? Mike?
Yeah.
The power.
Fail to get anybody to come up and just do things. Okay, I mean, you're tall, I'm gonna need you to move back a
All right,
little.
I'm just trying to stay in the game.
Okay,
Or she can move that, but you can move.
That's
closer
true.
to
Okay,
that's true. Okay, so you're gonna introduce yourself and then I'm gonna ask you 3 questions.
okay. Hi, I'm Mike Cooper.
You have to give me a little bit more.
Hi, I'm Mike Cooper.
What do you write?
I write fiction and nonfiction and secretly poetry.
Whoa, well, it's not a secret now.
Nope.
Let's see here. Do you have a writing team and does it include any pets?
A team, I do have a team. I have multiple teams, actually. I don't actually have a pet that's included on the team. So I have friends. I have several writing groups, and my lovely wife reads everything I write, whether she wants to or not. And as far as pets, I have a collection of figurines on my writing desk, most of which are Batman. You know,
Are they inspiring?
They are.
Motivating?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. What's your writing schedule?
My writing schedule is I write furiously, then I take 3 months off, and then furiously. My writing schedule is not. I would not recommend my writing schedule. My writing schedule often moves to lower on the priority list.
So would we be correct in assuming you're a pantser and not a plotter?
I think I'm mostly a pantser. I pants until I have a plot, and then I reverse plot. Right? Yeah.
It works for all ways.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you.
So that was about 2 minutes, still good. And then we can go to for talk fodder is, yes? From now. So I'm trying to remember, I think there's a book that goes along with NaNoWriMo that somebody put a book out when they first started that National Novel Writing Month in November. And he may not have coined it, but it's from where I know it from. So a plotter is someone who you do an outline, you've got note cards of every character and the scenes that you want. And a pantser is someone who writes by the seat of their pants.
And a plantster is somebody who
Who can do both. Yeah. So the book that came out when they first kind of started NaNoWriMo is really interesting in kind of talking about how to use whatever works for you to still get it done. Like, I'm a pantser when I'm actually writing. Okay, where are we for time?
you got a half hour.
Oh gosh, okay.
That includes Q&A. So
Yeah, let's go over that then. Again, if you make the content, you're gonna find some people. You're gonna find other authors to talk to, you know, other aspiring writers, talk to a bookstore, follow them, and then maybe they'll have a local author night and you can go join. Okay, it's a lot of information. It can feel kind of scary still. Who has questions? Mary.
So let's say you make this video and you create your account and you post it. What's to guarantee anybody's gonna look at it?
What I would say is your use of your short caption and your use of your hashtags. So what we had talked about in that social media class and what you're gonna want to do on Instagram, Facebook doesn't care, is you're using those to jump, you're putting your foot in that community. Hey, you already follow #authorlife. Here's me, I'm an author. So it's a way to signal that people who follow that might want to follow you. It takes a little while. I mean, just like with anything, with a website, with an email list, it takes a little while to build it up. And again, that's the, how often do you want to post kind of a thing. But, even once or twice a week, putting up a little 3-minute video and then maybe spending 10 minutes going and finding other people under #authorlife, under memoir writing, and see who's out there. And then I loved your video because, and it might follow you.
So can you see that it has been viewed, and if so, can you see who viewed it?
You can't actually see who viewed it unless they like it, like unless they do something, but it will give you the number of plays. So one of the things that I was gonna do, and I'm gonna do it right now, is, Becca, sorry, I'm gonna pull up.
If you pull it up, I will share it with you.
Yeah.
Julie, could you actually post a TikTok in front of us here?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
hold on, I don't actually.
Oh, sure.
I don't know that we have sound on this. You should be able to find it. That's neat. So, for instance, I made a video a while ago now. So like I made a video about Oregon Battle of the Books. If you guys aren't familiar, it's a 3rd through 12th grade reading competition that Oregon has hosted since 2006. We're pretty dialed into it at the bookstore, so I tend to try and read some of the Battle of the Books, obviously telling kids about it. We hosted an event series every fall with it. This other one, the very first one, so the clothing company I used to be a part of is LuLaRoe. If you've watched any of the documentaries about it, it's horrible. So we had a local author who had been in a different kind of MLM, but she wrote a book and it was basically like, MLMs are full of white supremacy, sexism, like they don't make you lose your shirt, basically. There's no way to make money. So, not only were we having an event, but because it's really, I'm actually wearing a LuLaRoe dress in the video. I was like, hey, you guys should all read this. Like, we've all seen the documentaries, let's read this book. So you can see that my video got 851 views on that one, because again, that might be a little bit of a niche, whatever, but like the Oregon Battle of Books one, that's 4,400 views. 4,400 unique people may have learned about Oregon Battle of the Books for the very first time. And off the top of my head, I can't tell you, I don't know, it's not showing the full caption. I can't tell you like the hashtags I used, probably did book talk. And then like the ones with my dog, that one didn't, but generally the ones with my dog do get a lot of views. So, I mean, you're kind of talking to the ether, but imagine you're talking to somebody who's asked you, so what do you write about? And you're just going to tell them, like you're talking to the person you meet at a Writers Guild meeting or a conference. What do you write about? Where do you get the inspiration for your characters? I was in a class on Sunday night. It's an event management class. We were talking about having questions ready for author events in case the audience was a little quiet. And they mentioned there's an author who, I don't remember how the question was posed. It was kind of like, how do you come up with the characters you're gonna kill in your books or something? I think she writes mysteries. Oh, they're basically my coworkers who I don't like. Cool. Like, that's amazing. I could go back through like a yearbook and be like, oh, I didn't make you a character that I could kill off. That's so fun. Like, that's, you know, the lift the veil on how people come up with names for characters, or, you know, how do you choose to kill somebody in a book? So, oh, and then you can see it at the top, this in you can see my link tree right there. So at one point, I was using at least one of these TikTok accounts to fundraise donations to the houseless camp out in Redmond when I was still living out there. And so I have a link tree that has multiple Amazon wish lists. So if people want to, they could have shipped something directly to me and then I would take it out to the camp. But the same thing, like you can have your website, you could have where your book's being sold, where you've been published before, like Linktree, it's like a little hub. Yeah, let me see if it'll pull up. I haven't used it in a little while. So like people, I just had my Venmo account, so if they want to just send $10 and I could go buy the supplies myself. There's a group out in Redmond, so they had their own like how to support and give money. The wish list, I had yarn on there because I was making winter hats on a loom. And so like that was some of my videos, or like somebody did send me a box of stuff because I got this Amazon package and I was like, I didn't order anything. Did I in my sleep? Like, what's happening? And I opened it and it was toothbrushes, toothpaste, women's underwear, fruit snacks, and like something else. And so I was like, I basically did an unboxing video because like, I didn't know what was in there. And, you know, it was really cool that one of my friends like spent like $50 and sent me stuff that I could take out to the camp.
So Julie, do you have another link tree for like where other things? Is this just your donation link tree, or do you have others like for like your website and you call for your?
I don't, because I have a couple of different TikTok accounts and one of them was focused on my editing. So I did have my website just linked in my bio. A couple of these other accounts, I got spicy with some people. And so I don't have information there where they can actually find me because I was actually afraid for a little bit of some people. Well, I started some fights with some neo-Nazis. What did I do? Sorry, started some fights with neo-Nazis.
You didn't have to.
That is the unfortunate side of a lot of social media. I don't know if anybody is still on Twitter. The trolls are out there. If you're not posting content that they care about, they're gonna leave you alone. I was posting content that they wanted to argue with me about. So they did. So I made some of my accounts a little more locked down. So for instance, and I say this knowing like there's an Amazon donation wish list, it doesn't show my address. I have all of that set up where they just click it and it just ships it to me, but they don't see it. I was living alone in Redmond. No. But you could, again, like that's just it, right? If you only need a website, put that link in your bio.
So how do you make a link tree?
It's just a website you sign up for.
Linktree.com?
Yeah, it's just Linktree.
And then you just.
Linktree.e or something, huh?
So can you do like a link tree for Instagram and Facebook too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So you can just like say that we have our store and then say, hey, find us on
Mhm.
Linktree, Facebook, Instagram, the places on the
Yeah.
website.
So like I manage the bookstore's Linktree and we have everything. So we have all of our events, all of our book clubs, all of our newsletters, how to sign up. I mean, we have a massive
And that's
Linktree.
linked to your.
It's on our social medias. Yep. So instead of just having one website, you have like 15 with this one link. Yes, it's an extra step that to click that and then click here,
Right?
but, you know,
If I go to Roundabout, I can find that here, like, 300 stuff.
yeah, I think it's on Instagram mostly. Yeah, because Instagram is really weird. You cannot put, say you do with TikTok, you can't put links and captions. They don't work. So if you have like a post where you're like, hey, my book is available, Ginger, you can't put that link in the caption. You would have to say, you'll see this all over Instagram and TikTok, link in bio.
What's the
So
bio?
hard to find the link in the bio.
It can be, so for instance, my bio. My pronouns, Black Lives Matter, Pride flag, blue wave. I live in Oregon, I'm a book editor.
That's your bio?
That's my bio.
Okay.
With the
So
link
if
tree.
I am looking at a TikTok
Mhm.
online,
Mhm.
how do I get to your bio?
You click on my face.
Okay, okay.
Hey Julie, I was in your social class and last year, I guess it was, and when all us old guys were figuring out how to do Instagram. So there's videos all over Instagram like this, and what's the difference between Instagram and TikTok from a writer?
That's a good question.
Can you repeat the question for those?
The difference between Instagram and TikTok for writers. Instagram, so Facebook owns Instagram, which is why Facebook now has Reels, because they're trying to compete with TikTok. Instagram still does mostly the stories as opposed to video embedded in your feed, but stories expire after 24 hours. So you either have to, like, there's an extra step to make them stay there. So annoying. I would say at this moment, Instagram is still more, has turned into more of a sales platform. It has turned into more of a, kind of like an MLM. And I feel like TikTok is still in the phase of talking to people,
What is MLM?
multi-level marketing, so pyramid schemes. Like you'll still find, and that's just it, like you'll find a lot of the same content, like people, like I can set up, I can show you two of them. Show you where you link all of them and you publish that video and it goes to every single platform. So yeah, there's crossover. But like, Instagram still feels like it's a lot more curated still. People are trying to show this like, I have the perfect life and this is my happy family. And TikTok's like, let's talk about this book character I didn't like. It feels still a little bit more real, if that's correct when you're talking about any amount of social media. This really not. But one of the things that I actually did like about TikTok when I first so I probably spent 2 years of people just sending me TikTok videos, funny stuff from shows I liked, you know, funny just clips. There's somebody who he talks about all of the serial killers that have ever been in Oregon kind of a thing, and my friend would send it to me. It took about 2 years before I signed up for one, and then I didn't make a TikTok forever. I'm like, nobody needs to hear from me. Nobody cares what I have to say. And then I can't even remember why I started making them. It may have been just talking about a book or something, and then I started arguing with people. But I also felt very comfortable on TikTok to be able to say like, dude, I'm an adult and sometimes I have no idea what I'm doing. And people were like, oh, I feel that. Have you ever been tested for ADHD? Like it was very, when you find the community on TikTok, they're actually gonna talk to you. Whereas like, I can't tell you the last time I left a comment on somebody's Instagram post. Like even the bookstore, we have a ton of Instagram followers. Nobody comments on our posts. It might get them to come in and like buy something, but we kind of just have to keep doing it. So with TikTok, for me, it felt more like, oh, I can actually just show you, like, this is literally in my second bedroom when I was still living in Redmond, it was my office, but it was the whitest wall and it had a window across from it, and I would just sit on the floor with my dog at my feet and make a video. It didn't take a lot of forethought. I had an idea, I'm just gonna make this 30-second video and see if anybody cares. I don't know. I like it.
So for the sake of engaging in the world, and this is, you know, I think how much, as Eric pointed out earlier, how much time do you want to put towards this? And if it's something that's fun for you, I mean, and you want to, and you follow things and you can repost them and you go, oh, that's an interesting book thing, I'll put it on mine or whatever. That's great, but I think it's just kind of good to know how to do all this stuff. And as I said, and I don't mean to keep pushing this website thing, but this is who you are. This is the hub where people come to buy your book, right? And to find out about you and everything. And these are the things that sort of lead you to it. My wife is really good at this, and she does it because she likes it, but she follows other writers, and other writers talk about her writing and all that sort of thing. So if you have favorite authors or genre or anything like that, this is, I think, how you engage in this big conversation, as opposed to, you know, posting a video of a koala bear falling out of a tree or something like that, which is always fun too. But so I think it's I think it's a thing that's worthwhile to look into. And again, we can talk more about this on Saturday too, for folks who come.
Yeah.
How we connect all this together, and this is it can cost you money if you want to sell this out into the world, but this is guerrilla marketing. This is the free marketing, and so you just put your time in, and you don't have to put a billboard up on Highway 97 that says buy my book, right?
Yeah. So, because what you're trying to maybe remember is, at a certain point, self-publishing is great, and it's so amazing that we have that space, but it's twofold. One, how is anyone ever going to find your book if you're not doing the marketing? Because that is what comes with self-publishing. And two, if you were to pursue a hybrid or / traditional publisher, even if it's a tiny indie, they need to know that you are willing to market your book. Because if you're not, they're going to walk away. They don't have the marketing team or the budget to do this either. They're going to give you a beautiful book, but who knows about it if you're not marketing it somehow? What you're wanting to kind of look at this in, same with your website, is you're laying the groundwork so that when you have something to sell, you can. You don't have to start and say, I wrote this book. Cool, I don't know anything about you. Why am I buying it? You know, you're not selling to them in this moment. You're explaining to them who you are so that later when you say, you have a book. Oh, I loved watching you for the last 6 months talk about your writing process. I'd be happy to go check it out on Amazon or wherever. Like, I mean, we do this on Facebook. Everybody still talks about their writing on Facebook. TikTok, for me in this moment, is more specific. Your Facebook is your friends and family. We're using TikTok as a network and marketing, right? You still want to be yourself, but you're not inviting every person you've ever known in your life to watch all this. It's a very central to say, I'm a writer. This is what I do as a writer. I think you should follow me. Oh, we do have a question.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so you think a way to start would be, one of these little author interviews?
Oh, absolutely.
started, and since you have so many questions, you do several of them.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you do one of these and then do a different one a couple days later of your desk. I would love to see Claire's writing space, you know?
I can just see mine.
Nobody wants to see mine. But you know, people who have, or Mike saying maybe he's not on a schedule. What if you are that person that gets up at 5 a.m.? You make a cup of coffee, where you have 6 drinks, like I do at any given time. And then you sit down and you do your writing, like show somebody and then go do it. Like, don't interrupt your day, bring them with you. Hey friend, come and check out my writing space. One of my favorite authors in Portland, Roseanne Perry, writes in a tree house in her backyard. And I'm like, you've got to show more people that.
Yeah.
Because that's cool. You write middle grade books about animals in a tree house in your backyard. It just sounds amazing.
The other day I was in the midst of submitting a short story to a literary magazine, and they have the boxes of cover letter, bio, title, attach your story, and there's a box called website.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything to put in that box. So fortunately, the due date on this submission is until later. So I'm gonna go back to that and put in whatever I make this weekend. That's probably the first time I've seen that on a lit journal. It's always there in Query Agent, and if you're doing fiction or nonfiction, to try to publish a book, that box is there. What's your social media platform? So to have something is a useful thing. As Julie said, they don't have the time or the bandwidth to do your marketing, other than the big 5 or 4.
Yeah. Well, we ask it at the bookstore too. If you go through my Google form to request an event, I now ask for your website or social media. Because I've had enough people reach out to me that when I go and Google their name, I can't actually find their book. Why would I do an event with you if I can't confirm your book? You have to have it. I mean, it's 2024, you have to have some online presence. I hate to say it. Believe me, I would cancel my Facebook tomorrow.
So do you think, so like you have these platforms, so you have like TikTok, but then you also have for like marketing, you have your website with your book. Do you think it's like almost imperative to have your website and your social media directly to your website where you sell those books? Do you think that's kind of like a must do nowadays?
Can you recap?
Yeah, having your social media linked to your website. Yeah, I do. I'm trying to think how to say why. Okay, I'm trying not to insult anybody who doesn't have a website. I didn't have one before I went to grad school. Why is somebody going to, it's almost it shows the professionalism, I guess, in some sense of your understanding the landscape that we're in right now of people are finding you on social media, they're going to your website, that kind of thing. Because again, somebody reaches out to me and says, I want to host an event with you, here's what my book's about. If you don't have a website to post about the event that you're doing with me, I can't help you because this is a partnership. I can't get the people in the store or to buy the book just because I was like, hey, we're gonna have this event. So telling me that you have some sort of way to reach someone and say, hey, I had this event. So we've actually started, we've only done it with a couple of authors. We've started asking authors to give us a 60-second commercial for their event. Hold up your book. Tell me what it's about and why they should come and see you at Roundabout Books. And then we use it on our social media, but they can also post it on theirs. Like it's almost like a duet. Because you can scream about your book forever, but when people start, that crossover happening builds, I guess it's credibility. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, Claire.
I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned you have maybe 4 accounts. Because you get to a point where if you're an entrepreneur, you're a writer, that's a business.
Right.
You're an editor, that's a business.
Multiple
It's
accounts,
just
yeah.
like, what advice do you have for that? Cause that, I'm trying to step into that world, and
Yeah.
accept the reality of it, and a lot of it's just sort of like, the fear of putting myself out in the world where everyone just comment on everything.
Yeah,
But I also know that if I want, like, I teach like writing classes to children, and
Yeah. do you think your content couldn't be on the same platform or be on the same, like, profile?
some of it could.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I totally get that,
And
so,
just, I mean, the interesting amount
yeah.
of time that you spend, it
Right.
just feels like, literally people are paid like a full salary to manage.
Yeah.
Social media platforms, so if you are someone who's kind of in business by yourself, but you're a writer and a business and this, you have like at least 3 different places where social media could really be working for you, like, how do you find that balance of the time you put into it?
That's a good question. So the reason I have multiple TikToks has more to do with TikTok banning me for something I've done. You know, call somebody a fascist. So then I created a new account, and I was like, you're not gonna stop me. So at some point, I think I have 4. But when I was still doing multi-level marketing, and especially because the previous company before the clothing was not suitable for under 18 products, I had 2 separate Instagrams because, again, I was trying to limit the crossover in that a little. What I have found though is you are all of those things at once. So why not just have one profile? Why not just have one account? So I don't necessarily think you're doing yourself a favor by separating those, because to be a writing coach, you're gonna tell them, well, I'm also a writer, and this is what, and I write about, right? Like, those kids aren't gonna read your writing necessarily, but you're still branding yourself as all 3 of those things. So you don't need to brand separately. You are, Mike, I know how to build websites, and I know about social media, and I'm technically a trained editor, and I'm a bookseller, and I'm an event manager, and I'm the publicity director on the board right now. Like, those are just, it's one person, so I would only have one account, talk about all of that. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, kind of speaking on what you were saying there about like finding time and stuff. So I work with social media, and one of the things, I know there's another kind of website tool, but there's websites where you can set up your social media. Like we use Hootsuite, so you can choose which social media goes out, and change it and schedule it. So like right now, I've got 2 months of social media scheduled for our company.
Right.
So 4 different social media. Now there's free services, and then they want you to obviously pay.
Right.
The free is like not good for that schedule, but it is far easier than like
I know
going to Facebook, going to TikTok.
We talked about that in my social media class, and it'd be about pre-scheduling. I used Hootsuite a long time ago, it's fine. I prefer Later as a platform, but I will say this, I'm not sure. I've never used those for scheduling TikTok. My experience with any of those scheduling apps has been simply for photos, not for video. So if you were looking into those scheduling apps, you're gonna need to do a little research, because you gotta get it from your phone. And there's a Later app, but you gotta get it into the scheduler, and I'm not.
Yeah, they work great like Facebook, if I agree. Like, Instagram, TikTok, and it's just videos don't do.
No, they don't,
Yeah.
and yeah, but that is that's good, again, so say after this whole thing, you're like, TikTok's not for me, I'm gonna stick with Instagram, right? Make really cool pictures, or even try like a short video on Instagram, they allow them, and it's the same thing, just tell people who you are, and why you're a writer, and how cool it is.
One last question, you listed 4 authors that you follow, any other authors that you would recommend following on TikTok that are doing a good job?
Oh, gosh, I was logged in right there, I could probably pull it up and tell you. So actually, I'll show you something. play. Okay, you come up here. And it wants me to log in. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head, I'm just totally blanking. So I don't think Stephen King's on it. If you follow him on Twitter, I mean, if you don't follow him on Twitter, you really should. He's the best. Stephen King on Twitter is amazing. Oh, I'm doing the thing that shows that I need my glasses. Not now. Friends. You know, I'm gonna find a couple and I'll send you an email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, well,
I'm gonna find a couple of other authors. I follow a lot of bookstores for sure. Like, who is it that owns Parnassus in Tennessee? Or not Tennessee, is it Ann Patchett? Yeah, her TikTok and Instagram for her bookstore is amazing.
Lauren Groff, owns a bookstore in Florida too.
Yes. Yeah. What I've noticed in my like tenure in following a lot of the book talk is, like I mentioned, you know, 3 or 4 well-known or recognizable authors. I find that it is actually a platform for a lot of self-publishing independent authors. Like I follow a gal who does a book giveaway like every Tuesday, and she writes like spicy elf romances.
Yeah.
And people love her. And, you know, and it's like, she has so much interaction because she's, you know, and she talks about her life and she brings people into her garage where she keeps all of her books because she's explained, I have to find my books. I keep them in my garage. Like, it's, yeah, people who do that really kind of like, I'm gonna tell you exactly what's going on, I'm not gonna hide anything, I think do really well.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, Julie and Eric. As I said, still room for a Saturday's workshop. Next month's topic, spicy elf
Yeah.
romance. Spicy elf romance.
Spicy elf romance.
Right. Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks those of you at home for coming. Stick around. There's cookies and snacks and coffee and everything. Thanks everybody for coming tonight.
All right, I'm keeping my sample question. Maybe I'll do it.
Oh, well.
Here.
It's like we're still-